Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in on this episode. I've got another replay from a new replay sender, Wile E. Coyote, PhD in his Defender, a Tier 8 Russian premium heavy tank. A good tank, probably a Tier 8.5 tank, actually. Wile E. Coyote sent me a couple examples of his gameplay in this tank. We're going to take a look at both of them. This is the first one. He's on mines and has spawned into the north spawn. He's headed up the hill. He asked for me to take a look and see if there's anything I could add or give him a hand with. So I've taken a look and we're going to talk about a few things. So number one, as you're moving up to this hill and really positioning Wile E, probably one of the biggest things you can learn immediately is a little bit more about positioning. I think your instinct to go here is a good one based on the setup that we've got a 510 and you've got a pretty heavy good tank for contesting the hill. What I would have done is come up over on a little bit further over by these bushes and seeing if I can't hit one of these guys trying to go up the hill, which means I drive up a little bit to the right, more or less where the T-34 is going, and head up the hill that way. I'm looking to take snapshots as they're crossing this open area. As it is, you cut left and you see this WZ, and as we come in here, let's take a look at how you look at this guy. You know he's up there, we're driving in, we took a look. We drive over to this wall, do a little shifting, drive up on some rocks, and now we're sort of looking where he would show up if he came into those bushes. And before I started talking, as you were driving up, you were looking in this bushes, zoomed in. All right. That WZ is probably not going to go up that hill, drive around right to that bush, and take a look. He knows he's been spotted. He'd be very foolish to do that. He's very unlikely to drive right into that bush there and let you take a shot. So what positioning means is I'm trying to get the first shot that I can. The first shot you can is where this T-34 is. So you should really be line abreast with this guy coming up here to look and see if you can't contest the hill. Right now that 257 is thinking about going up there. So let's see what we do from here. And if you want to increase your damage, you've got to take shots. And in order to get as many shots as you can, you've got to start shooting early. And this T-34 drives up and just gets absolutely obliterated by multiple guys. Guy had 3 marks on his gun there, and he just gets obliterated. And we back up. And now the WZ shows up. So here's another thing to watch out for. You got to learn to fight 2 directions at once. You have to know you're exposed, or if you don't know, you should know that you're exposed to all these guys sitting over here. As a matter of fact, you're exposed to somebody coming down around this corner. There's an IS-3 up there. The 257, I believe, he hasn't driven up there yet, but there is an IS-3 up there. There's a WZ. You see the WZ, so now we're thinking about, all right, let's try to get a shot on this guy. But your turret, the back of your turret's actually exposed right now. And I think that actually hits that guy. But your turret, the back of it, is exposed to this T-69. Thank goodness he's not reloaded, or he's not smart enough to pull around, or he's worried about getting hit by one of these guys here. But the point is, you're well exposed here. In addition to that, you're exposed to artillery in this spot as well. So be careful about driving up into shots. There you go, and you just ate one for that, while looking backwards. And you tend to get kind of stuck in the soda straw, staring down the barrel of your gun and not paying much attention to things that are going on around you. There's that T-69. And I'm not even really sure what you're looking at right there. And there's the T-69 taking a shot into you there. So this whole sequence of kind of driving back and forth here, looking at this wall, not really sure what's going on there. Fortunately, that guy doesn't have the pen to go through you, even though he was hitting the side of your turret initially. There are crazy angles on that turret. It's just a really good tank. So for the most part, that little sequence there, you were relying on some pretty good armor to save you. 257's behind you, and now we get kind of enamored of the 257. Sort of, we got the gun pointing right at him, but there's a T-69 up there that's pretty much a one-shot. And what I would do here is, the 257 is lit, and he's hanging out over here. I think he's trying to look over here towards the RHM. So he's busy. Take advantage of that. Let's go up here, start moving around here. See if we can't find this T-69, maybe kill him. Maybe I can find the IS-3 being foolish up here, or maybe one of the other tanks, or even get a shot down into this lower area. Let's go explore over there. Now we've got our back end, and we're kind of backing up our back end here. And I just think you're really lucky that those guys did not show up, that were on the hill and coming around and start shooting you in the rear right there. You're definitely lit. The 257's looking at you. The artillery drops something on him. Good baiting of the shot right there. You do a pretty good job of sort of rocking back and forth and baiting shots. So that's definitely a plus for you. Now your team, if you take a look at the team, you're really the only thing hanging out in the middle, and that's important that you stay alive. If you're going to be the only guy there, which you are, your team has kind of gone around to the side on the east side of the map, and they're fighting all the guys down there. So if you disappear, say if you drove around and started helping the KV-5, or you got killed over here, the team would be in big trouble because the middle would be completely open. The Tiger II and the Patton are holding the west side. The east side is where the main part of your forces are. And it's important that you stay alive here in the middle. So you really just spend some time staring at that. We've only got 429 damage, only taken a couple shots here. There's the IS-3. Sorry, the T-34-3. So that was good. Shot of opportunity, come around. And that's one of the reasons you sort of poke around that corner and take a look at what's going on. But the bad news on that is you got another tank that's crawled up the hill. So you don't really have the power of just you there to push up and start taking these guys on, but you do need to start whittling them away a little bit. I'm also a little bit surprised you haven't taken any artillery fire right here. They're probably quite busy bombing the KV-5 and the ST-1 over on that side of the map, and maybe even shooting at the M48 and Tiger II. The shot on you is a little harder, especially when you creep back like that. You kind of turn around looking up in that bush. I mean, you really think that that bush is a huge problem. Frankly, it's not actually. It's not too bad of a problem. So we're going to come around here, and I didn't stop it in time, but there was actually a shot between that little V right there as you were coming up. That is something I talk about a lot, where I say investigate shots. If you see a guy get lit and you see that little V right there, stop just as you're going and see if you can't get a highlight on him and go, oh, I can actually shoot right through that little crease and put a shot on him. As it is, you do see him, which is good. And we're going to come around here. We're going to take a shot, and yet, oh goodness gracious, we get into the track. The bad news here is now everyone on that hill, and there's quite a few of them, know that you're hanging out in the middle now. And it looks like maybe you want to come up there and challenge them. There's the T-34-3. You actually go through his turret, I think, with that. Backing up, backing up. Oh man, artillery takes one of them down. Now here's something you didn't notice. I actually saw that guy coming. I would be, as I'm rocking back and forth here and starting to challenge this hill, I would have been watching the mini-map for exactly what's happening right now, because you know the WZ or the IS-3 was going to try to come from a different angle, and you really just were kind of looking around, and all of a sudden I think you were a little bit surprised that he showed up. You get a shot into him, that's good, and you get a bounce, so that was a good trade, but you weren't really paying too close of attention to the IS-3 right there. And that goes back to that fighting more than one guy at once. Now this guy is going to be hold down on you with that strong turret. You might have thought about going to HE for the Object 257. CDC comes around to help. Sort of giving him the side armor there as well, and the artillery does this thing. The IS-3 gets one into you, and the reason for that is, and there goes the artillery, the reason for that is you had given him quite a bit of the side of your pike nose right there, as opposed to trying to square up with your armor. And now we're in a bit of trouble here. We're stunned, tracked. CDC gets crazy, unknown why he did that. And you push up in here. You get a shot on him. And you're giving him side armor once again as you backed out. So your best bet was to back out straight and then kind of wiggle back and forth a little bit to throw off his aim. He was looked down, so that was going to hurt you, but turning sideways like that gave him all day long shot into the side of your front pike nose. In addition to that, I would not have challenged him. Once you got hit by the Arty and survived it, and that CDC was a moron and blitzed up there, I'd have just backed around the corner of that corner right there and fall back to the JT back behind you in the RHM. There was no real reason to push in there to try to take these guys on. It was very unlikely you were going to survive against both the WZ, or all three, the WZ-69 and the IS-3, plus you're exposed to both artillery sitting right there, so I definitely would not have gone up there. there's a lot of things to like on what you're doing there. You're very careful. You have, I think, a good idea of where you initially wanted to go. Probably need to look for those early shots a little bit more. I think you need to investigate shots a little bit more. Watch out on your armor profile. You got to understand the armor profile of the tank and try not to give them those side shots into your pike nose. And then just that end game decision of pushing up in there when you didn't need to. I think you were a little timid on a couple occasions that I noted, and then a little over aggressive at the end and getting hit. So let's move on to your second replay. Now for Wiley's second battle, top tier in his defender on steps. On steeps, he's in a 357 top tier with no artillery. Only facing a T-34 and JP-2, which are really going to have the easiest time going through the armor on this thing. The T-29s he does need to look out for. The rest of it he can almost ignore unless they're spamming gold or they're getting into his side. So this is an encounter map, so he is, or an encounter game on steeps, spawned over on the west side. So he's going to head over here and go down the west side looking to fight in amongst these rocks here. This map has changed considerably. It's the same general idea, but there's quite a bit different on it now. But it is still possible to move up into the rocks up ahead of him and grab that critical terrain early on. Especially in a situation where you have a heavy tank like this that can probably shrug off any faster tanks that might get there and take a few shots. He has a little bit of help, not too much, and right off the bat here, Wiley, you can see that the JP-2 is actually up here. The Hellcat, the SU, that leaves only the T-34 with the really good gun. I would have immediately, on my initial position, got down to these rocks right here with this defender. There's no artillery. The only thing that's going to get here maybe is the T-34, but it's pretty slow. And what you do is you come here and you go kind of hold down. And again, with camera technique, I'm unsure sometimes why you're zooming into places. I also think you're using the shift zoom. It looks to me like you're using shift zoom right there. I do not recommend that. A lot of people make that work. If that's your thing and it works, go ahead and use it. But I really recommend players use the scroll wheel zoom. It's just much easier to fine-tune the zoom and to come out. With the shift zoom, it can be very disorienting. And sometimes what you'll find with the shift zoom is you're not exactly looking where you want to be, and it will shift into an azimuth right or left of really where you want to be zooming into, and it can become very disorienting. So you do not cross there. You kind of lose your chance. The IS-2 gets hammered doing it, and now you're just facing a T-34 in his favorite spot. And that is exactly what this T-34 wants you to do, is sit here and try to be holed down against that big turret. So we're going to cross over here, and you get hit by a JP up there, but we don't take any damage, just get a track hit and get across. So I'd have probably done that earlier. And now what you want to do is get up in here with this defender and start side scraping and absolutely punishing anything that's sitting on this corner. Most of their team is here, but so is most of yours. And you've got to get in there and start reducing hit points on these guys right now. You don't have very much over at the cap. If they put too much cap pressure on you, then it becomes a time critical situation, and you need to get right in there. This corner is useless. There's really nothing going to happen right here. Let's take a look at that. And you're kind of in the soda straw a lot, which is another thing you probably need to work on. You're really down here a lot. What I recommend is you zoom out a bit like I talked about in the last video and take a look at what the heck's going on. All of them are stacked up along this. This is a big old corridor and just ripe for the shots. Coming up to this corner where the IS-2 is and start side scraping out and just blasting. If they're up here, take those guys, take these guys who are sitting over here. That T-34 is terribly exposed to you coming around if you can do it without taking too much aggro. But clear out the guys on the right first and then move over to the T-34 eventually. Your other option is to get in there and push that IS-2 up to be a little bit of extra armor for yourself right here. It's okay, I guess, to take a look at it along the side. No need to really start pushing it right this moment. But get in here and take a look. And we come in. There's that shift zoom. See how it just sort of takes a little time? If you scroll wheel zoom in, it's just much easier. This guy takes a shot, so you take a nice aimed shot and put some good damage on him. And I would have probably just poked out there. And this is very disorienting here. You're just staring at the back of that guy's turret. Just come out and see if you can't find him. He might be hidden, but that's fine. If he shoots, then you're going to get a shot on him. It looks like he's gone around the corner or he's invisible. behind the bush, and that it's just this is your shift zoom is very disorienting. All right, so there's a T-32 back there, probably about right there. Take a T-29, I said something else, but T-29 right there, and you take a couple shots. It might even be both of them based on how fast they shot you, but you sort of just sit there daring them to take shots at you. I'd have backed out of that once I took a hit or two from extra guys. The last thing you want to have happen there is get your front end out a little bit and he starts tracking you. Now I like this initially, but that bush really doesn't go anywhere. That's just map knowledge. You need to come out a little bit more and see if you can't find the JP, the Jagdpanther up there. We get a little bumping going on with the 150. And we're trying to get in there. One thing, you know, I don't know what your personal situation is, whether I'm not going to make any assumptions here, but sometimes people have disabilities or they're older and their fingers aren't working right, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that's a situation here, but if there is something like that, that's just one thing you've got to work around. And sometimes it seems like you're kind of backing up and running into things. The other thing is the capability of your system. Are you getting a lot of lag because your internet's bad? Do you have bad FPS because you have a worse computer than might be ideal? There's a lot of different little things right there that you can be having going on. You've got to work around. Your ping is okay at 90, but to be quite honest, for me, that's right at the limit for me. Anything over 100, I do not like very much on ping. There are plenty of good players who roll with 300s and have no problem, but that just requires you to be very, very, very careful. So the T-29 moves up on you, and part of the reason he got up there really unobserved is you spend a lot of time looking down the soda straw, like I said, then you back up and you expose yourself to the JP2, and now we've got a T-34 coming in. You auto him, you get a shot on him, but you get a shot. So that is one of those reasons why you need to zoom out and kind of look around like this while you're on reloads and looking around and go, all right, what is going on? I got a T-29 died behind me. I got a full hit point T-29. I have a T-34 there and a JP2 up top. So what can I do with this? The T-34 has just fired. I've just fired. I can go down this ramp a little bit and cover up on the JP, but I do have to be careful about him tapping my top of my turret. But probably getting rid of this guy right now in this game is pretty important. So I might prioritize that T-34 even instead of just backing up. Just kind of press him, get out here, get your front armor turned towards him, and be ready for when you reload to just take him down. And you're just a little bit late. Now see how that JP does have a shot on you right there, and we're kind of zooming in and looking at the rock and maybe trying to bait a shot. Nice job, you get that. You get another shot into him, so that's all right. But what's going on behind me? Once again, you're not really looking. Take a look and go, oh, geez Louise, that is not good right there. I've got both a Churchill and a T-29, and they're coming in behind. Unfortunately, I've also got a T-34 in front of me, so something has to give. I either have to turn and face those two guys, or I have to get rid of that T-34. As long as that JP was backing off, I'd have ignored him and looked to go kill that T-34, because now it's a big bummer. I have guys on both sides of me. And meanwhile, the T-34 lives as a one-shot. So one thing to think about while you're fighting more than one tank is looking for the opportunities to take down one of the, or more than one flank, sorry, more than one tank on more than one flank, is to look for the opportunities to clear off one of those flanks so that you no longer have to fight two different sides, or you make the problem a little more difficult for the enemy. That's a lot of side armor. You shouldn't have given that. I would have turned my front hull towards him a little bit as you come around the corner of that dead IS-2. That would have just made his shot a little bit harder instead of letting him get into the side. Well, not enough depression. There's an example right there. He gets into you. A little bit better aim right there. If you'd have gone after that kind of middle upper plate where it's flat, would have done a lot better for you. Now the JP fires. I'd have just stopped and zoomed in. This is exactly what you're going to do here. He may get another shot, but he's not moving, so that's an easy kill. Easy decision. Take a hit from the JP. He backs up. And we shift over to this guy, which is barely showing some turret, and we'll back up from there. Now your friends behind you have helped you out. They've knocked out the two T-29s, so they're no longer a problem. There's three of you. You've got a Scorpion back there dealing with a 3485 and an HT number 6. One thing you could have done right here as you were watching this go down is, instead of coming back in here and side scraping, just turn around and start heading back this way and see if you can't help these guys take out this 3485. This is one of those overmatch decisions. You look at the map and go, look, they're all stacked up right here. So yeah, it's a good idea maybe to kind of keep them pinned in. Maybe I can get some kills, but if I lose a couple guys or even one guy to this stupid T-34-85, that's a bummer. I really need to make that guy go away. And then also if I slide back to these guys, I've got my power more concentrated right there. So that was definitely an option there. And I don't remember if they take care of him. There we go. So they do get him. You actually hit that HT number 6, but do not pin. And this is another great example of you get down to soda straw, you're staring at this guy, you're kind of rocking back and forth, but why not just go like this? And I would, during this reload, you're only about halfway there, I'd already tucked up into this tank. I don't want to just give these guys over here shots for no reason. I'm on a reload. Let's just get up in here. The HT moved back. Let's cover up, get safe, zoom out, and look around and go, all right, what the heck is going on over here? Do I have any other targets? And that you're just really exposing yourself by backing up like that. It seems like, and that was a bad decision there. You turn your side pretty hard, exposed out the edge of that rock right there. The good news is nobody had a shot. So this is not a bad idea, repositioning. They're probably going to know you're doing that because they were seeing you do that. And that's not a big deal. And now we're just trying to find one of these 4 dudes. Where are these guys? The HT's moving around. The Scorpion's behind that rock up there, so he can help you against the guys up top if they expose themselves. Neither one of them can do much for you if you push up in the low area down there. You don't see him, so that's not a bad decision there. Once that didn't happen, I probably would have pushed up. Looks like a little more side scrape. And that's way over angled. So let's just pause that right here. That's just way too much angle on the side scrape right there. Kind of back and forth, back and forth. You weren't spotted, so this is not a bad decision actually. I kind of like this. Now, I would be careful though. You don't want to go just rushing in there because there's 4 of them and they'll get around to your side. They might even lose 1 or 2 to either you or the guys up top, but the other ones will probably end up getting you. Now what I'd have done right here instead of do this is I probably would have come up the side of this hill right here and tried to see if I can't find somebody up here, poke up the turret, take a shot, and then I can back down. My problem with you getting in this close is that the closer you get, the more likely some of them are going to be able to squeeze around you. You don't have any distance between you and them if they charge you. The good news for you is these guys are bad. They don't know what they're doing. The SU has actually moved away, so he's way over there. Actually, he was probably over there the whole time. Or I don't remember. Yeah, he was spotted over here at one point. That's a bummer. That hits the ground. All right, this is a great example of you need to be looking around. So what has happened? The T-25 died. He was actually trying to get around behind you. Luckily, you had somebody up there with a gun that took him down. Now you've got the JP there, the SU-152 there, and the question is, where's this HT number 6? I like this decision to come around here. I would have probably just come around the front, and I would have ignored that SU for the moment and tried to concentrate on getting the JP2. I would not have backed off right there. It's unfortunate your Scorpion came in. I don't know why he wouldn't stay back there where he really had some good covering fire for you. So something that players do, especially bad ones, is they think they're helping by coming up and crowding right where you are. They don't think about trying to get any kind of cross shots. And that's fine. There's a shot of opportunity. Let's get this SU. Nice shot on him, and holy cow, left 3, but down he goes, so HT number 6 does his job. Scorpion goes wandering back that way. There's their HT number 6. Trying to zoom in on this guy. And holy cow, that worked out. Oh, here comes the JP. I'd have just backed right off. Oh man, you were way over angled. Guess what? He's not using the top gun. That is much to your advantage. Right into his lower plate there. Yep, absolutely back off. That's one of the disadvantages of the casemate. He's got to, no kidding, also not only come around the corner, but square up on you. He takes down the poor Scorp, but he's fired, so you can just come in here and end him with a well-placed shot. So nice job, man. 3,000 blocked, 998 assisted. Ends up being a pretty close game. I'm going to be honest, it probably should not have been that close. Had you been a little more aggressive in a couple of cases, you probably would have kept a few more of your teammates alive, and it would have been more like 5 of you alive and all of them dead. But it was a carefully fought game. In your message to me, you asked, hey, what are a couple things, if you look at my replays, what are a couple things I can work on? The first thing I would say is make sure that you're not looking down that soda straw so much, just staring down the barrel of your gun. I would work on gathering SA by zooming out a little bit more. I would potentially think about using zoom, your scroll wheel for zoom instead of shift. That's another thing I would look for. And I would be slightly more aggressive in looking for shots. Sometimes I hesitate to say that to guys who are trying to get better. What I don't want you to do is go YOLO. That's not what that means. It means trying to create your own shots quicker. Once you reload, always be looking for a shot, right? Looking for a side scrape, looking for the ability to poke. Obviously, keep in mind that you want good trades. You don't want to get a shot. Guido said get a shot, so you just jump out, shoot, and die. That's not what I'm saying right there. But I think in a lot of cases on both these replays, you had a couple opportunities. I noted it in several places, where more than a couple actually, where you could have been a little bit more aggressive and went and looked for a shot in the right situation. Those, I think, are the big things. There's a lot of other small things I noticed along the way that I mentioned as we went. If you got any more replays, I'm happy to look at them. I hope this helps you out, man. For everybody else, thanks for coming by. I appreciate your support, and we will see you.